Okay, I know the title doesn't make any sense because there's not really any such thing as doing something for the first time again or twice, but let me explain. So a whole year ago, I did my first actual ever USPSA match, and I was really excited about it leading into it, and I had a lot of fun, but I wasn't able to actually finish one of the stages. And it was a particularly difficult stage, at least that's what people have told me. There was, a Texas star, and it was actually a pretty good distance away. I was shooting irons on a gun that I hardly ever had shot prior to, and I just didn't have success. I was stressed out, and it was hard, and it was really discouraging to have not finished it. I went into that USPSA match thinking like I wasn't going to do very well. I totally expected to place at the bottom. The whole goal was to have fun. But for me personally, it was really tough to actually not be able to finish one of the stages. And so because of that, and also because of the ammo shortage, I pretty much took the entire last year off. So I haven't competed since then. So I like to count this as my first USPSA match, but it's really not. This was my second USPSA match. So since my last match a year ago, I've done a lot of work on my just pure shooting skills, but I haven't worked really hardly at all on, shooting on the move or target transitions or reloads or anything like that. I've really just focused a lot on my draw to first shot and just overall gun handling and shooting skill. So going into this match, I didn't go into it super duper prepared. I felt confident with my handgun, but there's a lot of skills that I went into this lacking, and it absolutely showed. The first stage was a qualifier. There were 3 boxes, and we had to go from the first box to the second box, and then we would reset and then do the second half of the stage. So you would start out in that first box and you would draw and shoot to 6 different targets freestyle. And then you had to reload and go to your second box and shoot strong hand only, and then you would finish your stage and holster your gun and reset. The second half of that stage, you would draw and again shoot freestyle from that second box, and then you would perform a reload, go to the third box and shoot weak hand only. And I definitely saw the places where I was lacking when I had to transition from just the first box to the second box while also performing a reload. I definitely was not any kind of efficient there. But when I got to the third box and I had to shoot weak hand only, it became really, really clear to me that that is something I absolutely need to work on in the future and practicing at the range. Weak hand only is something I haven't really spent a lot of time on, and it was really, really obvious here. Something to keep in mind here, if you're watching this video and you're actually considering going into your first ever USPSA match or even IDPA match, be really gracious with yourself, especially if you're trying things that you've never really tried before or not done very much of. Just remember to be gracious with yourself. Don't have a lot of negative self-talk. Try to do a good job of managing that and just letting it be a really fun experience. And then the next couple stages were a lot more of the same. They weren't classifiers or qualifiers? Classifiers? Clearly, I don't know anything about USPSA. The next couple of stages were more of the same, not so much in the actual layout of the stage, but the things that I was noticing about myself that I really needed to work on. But mind you, while I was doing these stages, I was having a ton of fun and not really thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm moving so slow and I need to work on this. It wasn't a stressful process. It was just a lot of fun shooting it. And kind of my mental evaluation happened a little bit during the match, but mostly after and watching the videos and thinking, oh, I really need to work on, moving my feet quicker and making the decision to move my feet quicker. In some of these videos, you can almost see my brain processing the fact that I've put all my shots on target and now I need to actually move my feet in order to access the other targets. So again, I just kind of learned a lot about the things that I need to work on. And I also learned a lot about where I've grown from last year to this year. It's pretty obvious to me personally that I've gotten a lot more comfortable with my handgun and I feel confident shooting it. So I got 68 alphas, 0 bravos, 15 charlies, and 2 deltas and 2 misses out of the whole match. And personally, that felt like success, especially when I compare that up to my match from a year ago when I wasn't actually even able to finish one of the stages. And the stage that I wasn't able to finish was a stage that had a Texas star at quite a distance. And at this match, there was another Texas star, and it was like facing my arch nemesis again a year later. But one thing that I'm really proud of myself for doing before I even went into that stage that I was a little bit nervous about just because of last year's experience was that I didn't allow myself to have negative self-talk. So a year ago when I went into this, first time USPSA match, I went into it like, oh, I'm gonna suck and I'm just gonna have to be okay with that, and oh, like it'll be amazing if I even hit anything. And I mean, all of those things may or may not have been true, but just having that negative self-talk in my head was probably really detrimental to my shooting skill. So going into this year's match with the Texas Star, I saw it and I was like, great, I think that I'm totally capable of doing that this year, and I'm not gonna have any negative self-talk about that. And I just went into that stage with that mindset, and again, I just had a lot of fun. And you can see how slow my transitions are. And it took me a minute to shoot down that entire Texas Star, but I did it, and that was a feat for me. So comparing last year's match to this year's first time USPSA match, I'm really proud of myself for a couple of things. One is that I did a really good job mentally of not having negative self-talk, but I also did a good job of noting where my shots were. So I was able to actually call my shots this year, whereas last year, I didn't know why I was missing. I didn't know why I wasn't missing. I didn't have any point of reference or understanding as to, when I was doing something right and when I wasn't. And I could even tell in the moment in this year's match when I wasn't getting an alpha. Even if I didn't see, the hole in the target, I felt that I threw that shot or whatever. And lastly, that I didn't let that Texas Star target dominate me in my brain. Even though it was really tough for me last year, I just went into that stage with that target and was just like, I think I'm totally capable of that. And I was able to do it slowly but surely. Overall, I had a ton of fun at my first USPSA match, and I learned a lot about myself and things that I need to work on. And I think that I'm totally capable of working on those things, and I'm excited to work on them, and I'm excited to see myself grow. I'm excited to have this point of reference. This is my, first USPSA match, and I have these videos to look back on, even 6 months from now when I've done a couple dozen more matches, and I can kind of see how I've improved. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to have that point of reference, kind of like I did this year to last year's match. So thanks for watching today's video. If you guys are considering going into your first ever USPSA match, avoid that negative self-talk and have a ton of fun. I'll see you guys in my next video.